We are in Imola, in the province of Romagna, and this is amazing. I will tell you first, you hear that sound in the background, there's nothing we can do about it, but it's kind of great. It's because of the world famous Imola racetrack, the Autodromo, which is actually the center of Formula One racing, and they're practicing today. So that's the noise you hear. But amazingly enough, we came to Imola not for the racing, but for this incredible fortress. It's called the Rocco Sforzesca, and it is where Countess Caterina Sforza lived with her husband, Count Girolamo Riario. And this is very interesting because the other castle she owned and the other place they ruled over was Forlì. And for the castle and her ramparts and it's really a military fort that was built to protect the family, and since they were the ruling family, was not as well preserved as this. They're actually working to restore that one, but this one it's completely restored, and we can amazingly go inside at certain times of year and at certain hours of the day. This is the coolest thing because you can actually see this big deep dish where the moat would be. I mean, it's just like the stuff you read about in fairy tales. Look at these, like the grates over the windows, this old brick. This is the 1500s. It was built before that, and then basically they reinforced it. They put in ramparts. They strengthened the walls. You go through here. Let's go inside. I'll take you in. Isn't this the coolest thing you can imagine? Like horses going over the top and people, and look at this. This is incredible. It's actually this medieval castle that you get to go inside from the Renaissance. Look at this. Look at these doors. Oh my God, this is incredible. You just imagine what it was like to be Caterina Sforza and come here. And she defended it. She was a fighter. She knew she could ride horses. She had been trained in arms, just like the boys in her family. She was raised by the Duke of Milan. This is just remarkable. Wow. Look at this. This is the interior. We'll turn this off, and then in a minute we'll take you inside. Incredible. You can see the colonnade up there in the balcony and the ramparts. And the one it was at Forlì that she famously defended. But this is also something really you can see, especially because you can go inside. Oh my God. I love seeing that castle because it's not like you picture castles in little kids' books. You know, they're all storybook, they're white, the turrets are really thin, there's little pennants, there's slate. These, I have some pictures here to show you too. They're immense. They're fortresses. Caterina Sforza had two castles, Forlì and Imola, and she defended them against everything. Like I said, the audio isn't that great, but you can. Here's what this looks like when you walk down these halls. I wanted to show you the very top in a picture because when you took the video, it was so windy that you couldn't hear it. But she would stand on the top. She famously warded off Cesare Borgia from the Borgia family. Here's what the ramparts look like at the very top. You can see that they would have right stand in between there. Here's this thing that says danger, don't go up here. Of course, me and Laura went up there because that's what we do. And here's another picture of the ramparts. Just, you can't imagine the size of this place. And once you get there, and I had this scene in the book, and I'm not going to give anything away, but it's strange because when the character starts to go to this castle, she says, I feel as if I've been here before, because she's starting to feel like not only is she related to Caterina Sforza, but maybe to a certain extent, she's channeling her. In other words, her spirit is coming through over time. And that's the unraveling part of the novel. You know, it's called a psychological thriller because what happens is when Julia starts to feel these things, she starts to feel a little crazy. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes there's times you go, wow, is that a crazy thought? Like you kind of go, that she starts to feel very unstable. And so the question for her is, am I really receiving some kind of spiritual communication over centuries, or am I just losing my mind? And it's very, very compelling to her, obviously, and destabilizing and upsetting. And she's in grief too, because she's lost her husband and there's a new guy. She goes to the castle with him. But in any event, I wanted to say this is a psychological thriller, but I also want to say to a certain extent, it's a spiritual thriller. And I'll tell you the story that I was going to tell. And I never told this before, so I hope I tell it good. But this is an absolutely true story. And if you ask, why did you start writing books? When people ask me that, the real truth is I say, well, I wanted to stay home and raise my daughter. But let me tell you about the main event, the precipitating cause, the reason I started actually writing. And this is what it is. This took place about almost 40 years ago, around my birthday. My birthday was July 4th. Thank you. My birthday was July 1st. Got a little confused. I'm not as old in the country yet, but I'm getting there. July 1st was my birthday. Thank you for all the well wishes. My daughter, Francesca, who's here tonight. Hi, honey, gave me this beautiful shirt. And I had a friend then, I'm not going to reveal her name, but she, for a birthday present for me, bought basically an hour with a channeler. Now, you might be going, what's a channeler? A channeler, and I'm going to use these terms loosely because I'm not an expert, but a channeler is like a medium. A channeler is somebody who can communicate with those who have crossed over, people who have passed. You can call them ghosts. I think of them as consciousness. This gets into this realm. And basically, I didn't believe any of that. When my friend told me she got us this hour and we were going to take it's called a reading side by side, because you got two readings for the $80 she spent, which at that time was a fortune. I didn't have $80 at the time. I will tell you that I had Francesca. I was divorcing. I was deliriously happy with her, but I was probably the lowest I've been in my life. I had quit my job to stay home with her, which I loved, but I had no money. I didn't know how I was going to make a living. I'd been a lawyer, and I was at a crossroads. I didn't know what the future would be for me. And here I was on my birthday, and my friend brought me this channeler. So we go to this house, perfectly normal house in the suburbs. I wish I knew the address. I don't remember it. I've tried to find these papers. I can't find them. And we walk in, perfectly normal lady, looked like me a little bit, just a nice lady in the suburbs, kind of dressed nice house, some crystals around, but otherwise completely normal tract house in the suburbs of Philadelphia. My friend and I sit on the couch. This woman sits down. There's all these diplomas on the walls. They're about like, because I look at them, because I don't believe a word of this. I'm like, this is like, whatever. It wasn't costing me anything. And I love my friend. I'm here. I appreciate the present. And I'm looking at the diplomas, and they're from like hypnosis institutes and this and that and certifications of mediumship kind of. And I'm going, well, this kind of looks legit, but I don't know if she prints them in her basement. In any event, I sit next to my friend on the couch, and the woman, very nice lady, says, this was going to happen now. I'm going to close my eyes and put myself into a trance. I'll take the friend first. So I'll take her first, and then I'll do you. You can listen to each other's, if that's okay with you. I'm like, fine, she's fine. I'm like, okay. I'm like, let me see what's going to happen. By the way, my friend doesn't really believe this either. We're both lawyers. We're a little skeptical. We're a little bit of a pain in the ass. We're a little pushy. We're litigators. My friend's a plaintiff's lawyer. They're tough, right? They're not like big softies. They fight for justice in court. So here she is. She's going to get the reading. My friend, the medium, well, the channeler, closes her eyes and then starts talking. And she says, I see for you that you will have two children. Now, my friend secretly had been having problems with her fertility. She had been told she couldn't have children. They had tried for a long time. And my friend, who is a plaintiff's lawyer, said, you can stop right there, lady. Really, happens. She goes, I can't have kids. And the woman is completely unfazed. And her eyes are still closed. And I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have interrupted her. And she goes, I see two children in your future, both girls. And I'm like, my friend goes, okay, do her. Meaning me. It's her birthday. Give her the reading, because I'm really not buying this and go right ahead. Meanwhile, I'm getting a little nervous because I'm like, it's very quiet. The lady seems normal, and she's just said this weird, very personal thing to my friend. And also a little bit, I'm also a little skeptical because I knew my friend was having these fertility issues. So, and to lead with that was a little weird. I don't know if she was fortune telling. Like, there's a lot of clarity. And I will tell you, for me, there's not a lot of clarity. Who's a medium? Who's a psychic? Who's a fortune teller? What the hell's going on here? She turns to me. She closes her eyes. I'm sitting here. This is the worst. This is my lowest point in my life. And she says, with her eyes closed, "You are very unhappy." I was like, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, I'm unhappy. And but she couldn't know that, right? And she said, "I will tell you why you're unhappy." I'm like, "I'll tell you why I'm unhappy." I mean, I didn't say this stuff, but the thoughts that went through my mind were my marriage just went down the tubes. I have no way to support myself, and I have a beautiful baby girl that I want to stay home and raise, and I have no income. I say none of this though, because I'm scared basically. And she said, the reason she's closing her eyes, that's why I'm closing my eyes. The reason you're unhappy is because you're not following your soul's purpose. Your spirit guides are trying to tell you your soul's purpose, and you are not listening. I'm like, I actually asked her, what is a spirit guide? And she said, and her eyes closed, there are spirits around you who are helping your soul find happiness and peace, and you are ignoring them and you are blocking them. And the thing your spirit's guides tell me, she says, that you really want to do is you want to tell stories. You want to be a writer. Okay, I'm going to tell you now. As soon as she said that, two things happened. The first thing is that I, in my heart, felt like that's true, like it resonated. Number two, because I secretly did want to try to be a writer. Let me tell you something though. Who did I tell that to? Nobody. I hadn't told the person who gave me the gift. I hadn't told my parents. I hadn't told my mother, my father. I hadn't told a single person in the world. Now, you might be saying, if you're still skeptical, and you're entitled to that, everybody's entitled to anything in my world. Well, a lot of people want to be a writer. But all I'm telling you is, by the way, there was no internet now. You couldn't look up any. She didn't even know my name. The friend booked the thing. My name was not even given to her. And you couldn't look up anybody on the internet if you tried. I was a complete, total stranger sitting in front of a lady with blonde hair and closed eyes who just told me something about myself that I knew was true and had never told it to anyone before. And I will tell you in that moment that I walked into that room a skeptic and I walked out a total believer. A believer. She was right. And I went home that night and I started writing a book. Now, I will tell you the title of that book was Fairy Tale, and it never got published. But I got a nice letters from agents who said, why don't you try another one? And I did, and that one got published and became Everywhere the Mary Went. I wish I had that book now, but I put it on a little floppy disk like they had in those days, and I lost it. But isn't it interesting? Because I will tell you right now that when the reviews came in for The Unraveling of Julia, and they were glowing, one said, it's a wonderful novel. It's a fairy tale for adults. And I thought to myself, you can draw a line from that meeting to this book. And I will tell you the kicker to this story. 2 years later, I was writing a second novel, and my friend had the first of her two girls. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That channeler was absolutely right. My friend had two daughters, and I became a storyteller. And it made me really, really happy. And it opened my mind to the fact that there are things we don't know in this world, and there are things we don't see. And I believe that. And I've experienced some of it in my life, but that story I never forgot. And so here I've gone all through my professional life telling all kinds of stories, 37 books, each one a story with little subplots and sub stories. I love to tell stories. I love to hear stories. I love to listen to audiobooks with stories. I've started with legal thriller stories, and then domestic thriller stories, and then historical thriller stories, and now psychological thrillers. But if you ask me, I think this is also a spiritual thriller. And it's a spiritual thriller because of that meeting with that channeler almost 40 years ago when I had written nothing. And I think all this time, I'm trying to think, I choked up. I've been working up to writing this novel and writing this character and the journey she undergoes, which is for identity, for her psyche, for her soul, and for her spirit. And I think all of us women undergo those things at different times in our life. So I'm very proud of this novel. But I wanted to share with you, now that I told it once, maybe I'll tell it on tour. But I wanted to share that story with you because I'm so grateful to all of you for supporting me in this storytelling. I want to tell you stories forever and ever. I'm so grateful you listen. I can see your lovely comment. Oh, you are a fantastic storyteller. You guys are just amazing, and you are a gift to me. You feed my soul, and I hope I feed yours. I hope we nurture each other. So that's all I want to say about that story. I hope you don't think I'm a little wacky, but I can tell you what I experienced, and I think it's really important to keep an open mind when sometimes you have to change your mind, and I changed mine, and I think I changed my mind for the better. So thank you for listening to that. I appreciate you. Now, let's do the fun stuff. Thank you to Susan Kehoe, who is the wonderful bookstore owner of Browse About Books in Rehoboth, who said that wonderful quote that we had in the video. She said, and I really love that because of what I just said. Lisa Scottolini takes a murder mystery and turns it into so much more. It's like a thrill. It's a thriller like no other. And putting it down as it is a thriller like no other. I never wrote a book like this. I've never gone this deep or this far or this layered. So I really appreciate her comments. I love Browse About Books. I will be touring down there. The Delaware beaches, please, please, please look at my schedule. I will be everywhere I can possibly be. So thank you so, so much, really, from the bottom of my soul, for coming to these and for all of your support. I appreciate it so much. I know Francesca does too. We're just a little family, the two of us, but we're a bigger family because all of you are inside it too. So thank you very, very much again. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. And you stay well till then. Bye-bye.